Out of class exams?
No. Well, I didn't know.
Okay, well, I heard a couple of yeses. I'm assuming that means the generals went out. That's one of those things. If I hear one person say yes, I know it worked. So, good. So anyway, I sent you a note over the weekend. If you didn't get it yet, you can ignore it. This is what we're talking about right now. So your first exam in class portion is next class, Wednesday. We'll chit chat about that. I'm almost done making that. It's almost in the bag. I collected some new data sets. I think it's going to be good. The out-of-class exam is already posted. I posted that Friday morning before I left town because I wanted to make sure if you wanted to get a chance to look at it, it was available for you to look at. So if you look at week 5, which is where this is right now, you'll see it. Exam number 1, out-of-class portion new. You'll also need this spreadsheet. So there's a spreadsheet component that goes with it. Don't freak out. I'm assuming you've never turned Excel on before. And the out-of-class exam kind of reads like you've never turned Excel on before. It might, if you've used Excel, it might bore you a little bit, actually. So let me just show you what it kind of looks like, so you get an idea. All right. So here is the first part, and it's basically 2 large questions. 50 points of 2 large questions. The first is you're going to help me answer the question, how many eggs do our chickens give us? That's the question that comes up. Like on average, how many eggs do you get? It's a great question. There's also about half a dozen ways to answer it. So what you're going to do in this, using Excel, is explore some of the different ways to answer that question. Because as we've learned in this class, if you've learned nothing else, you've learned there's like I said, half a dozen ways to express a result, none of which are wrong, all of which are quote unquote right, but some of which might be better than others. And your job with this question is essentially to work yourself down so that you pick one of the methods of answering and report it back. So you'll answer that question by the end, but you're going to have to base it off of something you do in this first question. And if you may have noticed, the one that says Algebra 1-2 test number 1, that's weird. I've had a lot of issues with files getting corrupted on upload. I'm guessing that's one of those, so I apologize in advance if that's been screwing everybody up. This spreadsheet right here, when you open this bad boy up, you'll see basically a bunch of sheets that are all referenced in the take-home exam. I've taken a bunch of screenshots from this and put them in the take-home exam. So you'll be referenced in this spreadsheet while you're looking at the take-home exam. So if you can kind of keep both open, that's great. If you have access to 2 monitors, that's even better. But you don't need to. You can easily minimize one, like open one and drop it, or make half size or something like that. So basically the idea is, I was going to record videos to accompany it, but the screenshots I think do a pretty decent job. So the first part, I mean, it's a pretty long one because of all the screenshots. It teaches you how to put formulas in. It shows you that countif formula again. You learn a whole bunch of other formulas. Make sure you're paying attention as you go through. You have to, every once in a while you'll see it interrupted with 1 point, 2 points, 3 points. That's the stuff you have to turn in. You don't have to print the Excel sheet. You can do this whole thing on scrap paper if you want to. The Excel sheet's just there to help you crunch the numbers and process the data. So you can turn this all into 1 sheet of paper if you want. That's totally fine. I would recommend not trying to squeeze your answers into this, like, some people just print this whole thing, this document right here, and then just write the answers in. The problem with that is when you start getting into here, where I start asking you why, like interpret the value of the standard deviation, I don't think you can fit it right there. And if you write it, it's going to be so small I can't read it. And that makes me unhappy. I want to read what you have to say. So I would say just, use a scrap piece of paper, use this as a guide and kind of work off that. That make sense? And that just keeps going. Keeps going up bell-shaped data, 95%. Start doing moving averages down here, which is something we've never talked about in class, but it's something that is used all the time in Gallup polls and Quinnipiac polls and Rasmussen polls. So you'll learn how to make a moving average in Excel, which is totally freaking rad. And then finally at the end, for 5 points, that's 10% of the exam, how would you, bold italics, answer the question, oh, you have 4 chickens, how many eggs do you get each day? And your job is to reference something you did up top and say, here's how I would answer and here's why. Yeah. Cool? So that's like the first, I think it's like 30 points of the exam is that. You going through Excel, learning some Excel commands, and also figuring that out. The last 4 questions are total fit. We do these things called victories. You'll read about them in here. They're win sprints. And it's analyzing, which is something we do almost every 3 months. We analyze how fast you have to average these things in total fit to get a certain number of victories in a certain period of time. And it's amazing because it's one of those things where I never get tired of doing the math with total fitters when we talk about this. And you'll read about what a victory is and what the rules are. There are certain rules for them and they're all outlined in here. So, and it's on average. On average, it asks you also to give one reason why using the average might be misleading. I like those questions as much as I like give me the average, because I want you to also know, should you even use the average? So get that there. So, and I'm not saying there's one right answer for these. I could have 35 different answers for each one of you, and that makes me really freaking happy. It also makes me drink a lot of coffee to grade these things. I'm up all night grading them. But that's okay, because I love hearing what you guys have to say. I grade these. I always grade the out-of-class and the in-class exams, because it's too much for Amber to kind of process. There's way too much going on for her to deal with. So, cool? That's due next Monday. You have plenty of time to knock. Anybody got a chance to look at it yet? Over the weekend, a little bit, couple of you. Good. That's why I wanted to have it up in case you had time. I try to give you at least a week and a half. I got closer to almost 2 weeks this time around, so I was stoked about that. And I'll try to do that next time as well. Get at least a week and a half, if not more time for you to get in there. Cool. How many of you have used Excel before in some capacity? Roughly half of you, maybe a little bit less than half. That's okay. This assumes you have it. There's no Excel for the total fit part, by the way. This is just arithmetic, for the most part, and a little bit of statistics. So, I said statistics, didn't I? Statistics.
So,
go, John.
These are added in all as one grade.
Basically, I'm going to treat this as 100-point exam. You have the in-class part this Wednesday plus this 50, 100 points altogether. But it actually, and we'll talk more about this, there's more rainy day coupons that go on the in-class part, which we'll talk about next week when you get them back. So it's actually, technically, you can get 105 points in certain conditions, yeah, depending on certain conditions. So yeah, this works out. This out-of-class stuff is great. It just helps averages beautifully. Work together on it, please. Work with the tutors. I've removed the tutor restriction. I used to put no tutor help. I've removed that. Please work with them, but don't, promise me you won't show up there on Sunday night, all 25 of you, demanding answers. Just promise me you won't do that, and we'll leave the tutors. I want you to use the tutors. I want you to use every resource. Ask me. I want you to use every resource at your disposal. But that doesn't mean wait till Sunday night to start it. That means use every resource at your disposal intelligently. Cool? Good? Yeah? Okay, good. We'll talk more about the in-class exam when we get done going over the variation homework. I want to make sure we get any questions answered from that before we review for the exam, because that way you'll have we'll refresh our memories about variation and make sure we remember that. So, that's your out-of-class exam. There she is. Boom, boom, boom. Don't know why it says algebra 1, but I don't care. I guess I don't care. All right. So your exam. Oh, I don't know if you noticed. You might not have, because I clicked through it pretty quickly. When you click on the scheduled page, week 4, it says exam 1 in-class portion, and here are the 3 homework sets it's over. So basically, what I try to shoot for, and this usually happens every term, is each exam does like 3 homework assignments. The first one does the first 3, the next one does the next 3, and then the last one does the last 3. That's essentially what it usually ends up working. Works out kind of well that way. So we've already reviewed Intro to Prop Stat and Center. I've slapped the videos up for variation, so that if you look at the homework sheet, which we'll get to here in a second, you'll have links off the variation homework, the ones that aren't answered in the book. Plus you have the addendum video as to more evidence about the sum of the deviations. That extra credit is still open, just so you know. You might have noticed that, you might not have noticed that. When you scroll down the bottom, there's an extra credit homework question down here. Prove that the sum of the deviations from average is 0. Either algebraically or come on by the office and prove it to me. Either way, it's worth points. I forget how many points. We'll make it worth your while. Nobody's attempted it yet, so that's okay too. Oops. Anything in here give you grief that you want to chit-chat about? What in variation makes you, let me start. Or stop and start, I guess.